Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is a weekend review for the week ending July 15th, 2022. We're looking at a weekly chart of the S&P 500. Unfortunately, there's not a lot to talk about. Double inside week, triple inside week. I don't even know. We've got technically from this 383.90 candle down to 362.17. Everything's pretty much been inside that range. 383.90. The close was 385. So they're closing above that range, but they can't really close above the gap, which is 389. So this is really the issue right here. 389. This fib level. Maybe the fib's down here. It doesn't really matter, right? You're in a downtrend. The trend is your friend until the very end. Stuck below a 5, 10. As you can see, the 10 is playing defense. Now, that being said, if she can get outside of this falling wedge pattern, we've got a totally different market. Right now, 200's on deck. Now, I will say the inside weak pattern could continue again for potentially 3 more weeks, 2 to 3 more weeks. But OPEX concluded on Friday. Monthly options is over. That expiration and what generally influences lots of money has ended, and they roll over those contracts. And here we are now facing the next monthly OPEX of August 19th. So there's a lot of time, and that generally means they're happy to make a move. When we drill in, you see everything's just in a tight range. Looked like a symmetrical triangle, but clearly it's not, or at least it's not holding the structure it was anymore. So that's what I see here, just a very, very obvious up, down, down pattern. And we put our Fib extensions. This is what's in play. Theoretically, 402 to 409 are on the table, but she's got to get above 390 first to make it happen. Still in a series of lower highs and lower lows. PPO looks okay. ADX is not confirming any trend, and the moving averages are in a full bear configuration, right? With the longest on the top and the shortest on the bottom. That being said, the bulls tried to get something going, failed, and now they're just going sideways. So there just really isn't a lot to talk about this week, so I'm going to try to keep the video very short. Possibly under 10 minutes. That would be very nice. So let's take a look at SMH, which I think is getting real close to a bottom. Has had some form of a breakout here. Divergence broken. ADX back to 0. So this move higher is not being confirmed. Again, what needs to happen for this downtrend that's now been going on over 6 months, 40% decline. Price needs to get above. Needs to come up here. Needs to come set a higher low, and then can break out sometime in after the summer. But at this point, you've got to anticipate that PPO is going to come all the way back up to set a lower high, right? Just like she's been doing. So on and so forth. Every single rally has led to a lower high in PPO. So we would expect the same thing to happen here, i.e. PPO is going to reset to 0 and then move lower. That means buy the dip is in play, likely until this red line or this red line. It doesn't really matter. She's below a declining 40. Now I will say the 510's crossing through the 20. This is what you need to see, but we don't have really a bottoming pattern yet. If we get this left shoulder, head, come on back down for a right shoulder, and then go, you'd have some form of a bottoming pattern. Right now, the structure is saying zigzag until we can get above the 1618 extension, which is way up here. So reality is zigzag into 222 to 229, and that's it. Getting closer to a short than a buy. Dips into 209 are likely to be bought. Now, I will say the semis closed above the previous week's high, which is very bullish, but cannot get above the breakdown candle high here at 218. This is a bearish engulfing candle from the June 27th. One thing you want to see with these types of candles is follow through the downside, and this was really extended. And so what ultimately happened was the break of the June 27 low the following week was bought up entirely. And if that pattern continues, price is likely to go back up to 218 to 220. Close in the week was basically 215. So that's it. Trade's dead. The next sell is 218 to 223. So those interested in playing SOX S, the inverse SMH, you look to sell rallies into that zone this week. QQQ's definitely looking a bit different than the others, showing that relative strength. The PPO is in trouble, but this looks like a top in terms of ADX, in terms of like trend. But look at this pattern. It just keeps going. So like, again, just like with SMH, the PPO was showing there could be a rally. Like, this is what I'm expecting. Rally to the 20 and a decline again of this ADX. PPO will try to get back to zero. But look, one of my favorite swing trading signals is when the 5 crosses the 10. And you can't get the 5 to cross above the 10. And when it did here, you had the bull trap. It was right into a declining 20. And guess what? You're about to get it again. You're about to get another bull trap. Because here's the reality. Until you're above 315, there's no reason to own the Qs. You want to buy extreme weakness, or you want to buy a real bottom. You don't want to buy a fake bottom. Not like this bottom here. Right? This fake higher low that as soon as you broke this high here, it was instantly a sell. That's not what we want. We're looking for something more like, this bottoming pattern that we've talked about on a lot of these charts. And then you'll see some rally from there. And when you zoom in on the Qs, you do have what looks like the bulls trying to get above the 0 line, trying to recapture the 40, trying to take out one of these downtrends. But really, there's just so much downward pressure that any rally is going to be sold regardless. Now, that being said, we don't really care the direction. We've got a nice symmetrical triangle over here still, right? A, B, C, D, E. So if they can't get above this level to start the week, make sure I give you the exact level here. The high is 296.75. Can't get above 296.75 in the Qs. Stone cold sell. The buy for the week is 284. Sell 297. There's your setup for the Qs. Let's go through IWM. She did hold and is still putting in this symmetrical look. Again, ADX is telling me no trend at all, so avoid until we have a trend like we did here. But, this divergence is definitely what you want to see. But this is a descending channel, right? So why would we be interested in owning an asset that is depreciating, that is doing some form of linear regression on the chart, back to some form of a mean? And really, from where I sit, that mean could be anywhere. Now, I do like the look of this, if they can hold this, but they're just getting wrecked. I mean, the momentum, again, The momentum in July is stronger than the momentum in June. And that has been true every single month going back to March 2021. Sorry. And now they've sliced through literally every moving average, right? All of them. Below the bottom of the Bollinger Band on the monthly. Below it. Closed below, which is telling you a breakout to the downside is in motion. PPO's reset to the zero line, but again, I don't think it's enough. I think it needs to do something like this. You know, the 2008 like plunge. I think this is what's in play. From a momentum and a technical standpoint, there's been no other period of time, right, at anything like what we're going through right now. Nothing where you've had 17 bars straight down in momentum. 17 straight. I can't find another period where the histogram did that. And it's just a complete unwind. That's what's happening. Everything was wound up, and now they just let it completely unwind. And from a technical standpoint, you know, 169 has been hit. 150 is the other level. 153, I believe, this close here, 153.09. So if 162 breaks, it's 153. And that's it in terms of support. There's no support after that. There's none. Zero. All the way back down to here, where she belongs. And quite frankly, you know, I mean, who's to say that this isn't really what's going on? Some big old correction like this that's correcting this entire move. And again, maybe it's correcting the move all the way back to 2002. No idea. We'll have to find out. If it is, 138, 113 are in play. But from where I sit on the monthly, this is a stone cold avoid. This is the weakest sector. There's nothing going on here. It's breaking out to the downside, right? If she can get above 177, can get outside, get above these gaps, go for it. Right now, these gaps are telling me it's going to be a long summer for IWM. We're at 12 minutes. I'm going to run through a few more, right? The transports, same story as IWM. XLF, on the other hand, well, still declining volume, so no change here. Looks like a descending triangle, so something like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll come back down here for another low. But honestly, I don't know. I can just say you don't really want to spend any time below $30, because if you do, it's going to open up 27. And this is how I view these types of trades, right? Very symmetrical. Yeah, that kind of looks like what's coming. The trades that I've been in, we'll talk about them for a second. EMPH still holding the 50 on the daily. Moving averages still look just fine. The weekly, again, ADX confirming there's no trend here. There's nothing going on. However, dips into the 10, into the 20, into the 40 have all continued to get bought. And the slope and the angle of attack here on the bottom band is pointing up. I mean, price will continue to rise and go sideways, which is a consolidation pattern. And if this is a top, right, there's no reason she can't come up and hit one more high before coming all the way back down. We'll have to see how this plays out. Still one of the strongest names that I am following. We'll take a look at Kweb. Finally hit that level that I've been calling for, right? So what you want to see is PPO get above the zero line, correct to the zero line, and then cross in and put in something like this, one of these periods. But this time it happens from the top, right? So it's the bulls in charge. And if there's any symmetry here, it'll be something like the move that we just got. We'll get that again after reverting to some form of a mean. So this is one of the top tier setups that I see from the long side. We had an ABC corrective pattern into a rising trend line, into a Fib extension, into a gap fill, into a blah, 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 right? definitely have what looks like a flat structure, which is a 335. Moving averages or prices coming back into the moving averages, which are all pointed up. You do have short-term sell signals that have fired. The 5 is crossed below the 10. They've all crossed below the 20 and the 40. You look at the weekly, you do have a bit of a problem. ADX is going up as price is falling down. Now, in terms of, what's the trailing stop, or what are the new entries, or what's the invalidation, this big orange line here, $28. I've been calling this level out for a while. I just call it 27.81 to 29. That's been the demand zone. We've seen price get pushed below, then popped back above. They let it fall below. They get it back above. They let it fall below. They go and they get it back above and go. What I'm looking for here, again, continues to be either A, this is an ABC and we're done. Trade's over. You're now getting a new impulse move lower, or this is your 1, 2, 3, right? The good old impulsive move, and we're still well within wave 3, wave 1, wave 2 of 3, and we keep moving. It's impossible to tell. It's very subjective. It's why I don't bring it up all the time. What I will say is prices fall back into a trend line. It fell back into POC support. If you go to the monthly, right, we go all the way back to the IPO. That's the close of 26.71. IPO launch, that's where she closed. The low that day was 25.81. And really, that's kind of been the demand line here for this bottoming process. We'll say closed above the 5 last month, inside, and now went all the way back down to last month's low at 28.21 versus 28.20. It's definitely very, very interesting. And if they're going to break this pattern down, then in my opinion, she's got a lot more downside. And you literally have missed nothing. This is just the correction within this uptrend, and you have to allow this thing to heal or repair. That being said, how much more downside would you give her? 27.81. That's it. That little gap fill. And if they spend much time below the low from Friday, the trade's likely dead. But either way, Kweb, another one to focus on. LW, another one to focus on, continues to close above 71.58. That being said, we're getting this bear cross. But price moves higher. ADX confirms this is what we want to see. There is a potential divergence, but again, I don't care about divergences. It's not going to be a reason not to buy. It's just an awareness of a place to trim, things like that. But again, like the 5 still remains above the 10. This is a very, very bullish configuration. As long as price stays above 71, 69, 77, this general area, right? As long as price stays above that breakout area, then there's nothing wrong here. And that this is really a bull flag that could certainly just be going much, much higher from this breakout area, right? Up to 85. So I like LW as a trade. We'll cover PLTR just because I'm still in this one. I think this one still has a lot of legs left. We will see, though, the bear cross reset to 0, which has basically happened. Back to the 40, back to the bottom of the channel. Maybe we draw this channel a little bit lower. Maybe you draw it a little bit higher, whatever. It's there, though. This is it, okay? There's a gap down here at 822, 824. I mean, I guess you could use that as your trailer. I've already sold 50% up here. I'm going to look to add back at the bottom of the band or this trend line. I just need to know which one is in play. So I did nothing on Friday with this name, but it's definitely something I'm watching. Did break last week's low. It closed inside. Very interesting setup over there. I will talk about Cron, another one I'm in. So this certainly could be a bottom. It also could be one more low coming. Again, it's impossible to tell. I can just tell you the trend is down. She's below all the moving averages, right? She's trying to break this strong downtrend. Maybe it happens, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen when the market breaks their downtrend. We'll look at DBC real quick. This was the pullback we were looking for on the weekly. We got it. Price fell right back to where it needed to. Again, this PPO is showing momentum downside. But we're at the bottom of the band, which contains 90% of the price action. So you assume that the low is in here for DBC and that she's likely to rally from here back up to challenge 26 to 27.50. And that was, we hit a home run on this trade. This was a great trade. Take a look at TNX real quick. Is this a head and shoulder pattern? I don't know. Still in an ascending channel, so let her work. No reason to buy bonds yet, but we're getting real close. So we'll take a look at TLT. Right, ADX just does not want to trend. It does not want to confirm this move higher. That being said, little left shoulder, little head, little right shoulders. That's the chance, okay? From a weekly standpoint, inside week. That's all it was. It was just an inside week. But you got the PPO cross, which is what you're looking for. Need to see the 510 bull cross, otherwise I'm not buying this. I have started to accumulate down here into this 111, 108, 112. That general area is still a demand zone, but you get below that and 100's in play. There's no other way to look at it. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and then we'll wrap this one up. Same pattern. I've been looking at Bitcoin for months now. There's nothing to talk about. These things take time. Okay? ADX is at a trough. PPO back to the zero line. Price back to a trend line. Weekly sideways for 5 weeks since hitting that trend line. Obviously, I think it's important. And then you zoom into the daily. Same pattern here as what you've got on SPY, right? Looks all corrective. It's way too hard to think that this is, until we get above this line here, which won't happen until the end of the summer. And ultimately this level here, right? That 25, 26 zone is really going to trigger the rally, but they could just do, stuff like this until after, the summer and then leave. The point is, I think it's going to be a slow summer across the board. I don't expect much from Bitcoin. And if she gets above 25, that'll change my mind. If she gets below 17s, we're heading to 13 to 9, that general zone. And at this point, I own no Bitcoin. But again, ADX at a trough, at the 40, things are, like the 5, the 10, the 20 are all going sideways. There is no trend on the daily. There is no trend anymore on the monthly. It's exhausted. This is, from where I sit, they've reverted to mean. They're going sideways. The histogram is showing this, that the 5 is starting to curl up on the weekly. And as you see on the monthly, we've got price sitting at a long-term trend. So definitely something to keep an eye on. As the markets resolve, so will Bitcoin, and you will see opportunity. In terms of gold, I still see nothing. I'd rather play DBC. We're getting closer to this level that I called out a long time ago, down here at 157 in the 200. So if I were interested in gold, right, which I'm not, but I will say DBC I'm interested in. If I'm interested in gold, 155, 157 is the play. And to me, this very well could be the next best trade. I know this sounds crazy, but it could be DBC, and the leader within DBC this time could be gold. You know, in that scenario, she'll set a lower high here on the weekly ADX. She'll likely hold this higher low, even though she breaks the low in price, and will reverse. So that is a potential scenario here that could be coming to completion in the next week or two. So I'm dead. Like, all of these are on the precipice of a big move. I know gold has been moving, but my point is that when these types of patterns either complete, right, this is either the end of a flat or the start of something way worse that will ultimately take price back down below 132. Fill this gap down here, and ultimately that wave one high back at 127 is really the target. So again, we're going to figure out either way with gold, we're going to figure out with Bitcoin, we're going to figure it out with SPY. All of these things are going to reveal their hand this week or next, and it usually happens almost always after OPEX. So that's what we're seeing here. I think that's all I had to talk about. I'm going to try to keep these videos closer to 20 minutes so that more people will engage. I think the ones that are longer than 30, they take a little bit more time, and fewer people watch. So if you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, check us out on Twitter, comment, share the videos, engage, and we'll see you in the next one.